Hi, this is Addie Hilster, and today I am bringing you mini lesson number 4 in our Mindfulness Meditation tutorial series, an introduction to mindfulness meditation. And today the topic is mindfulness of emotions. This builds on the previous lesson, especially lesson number 3, which was about feeling tone reactions of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, that we tend to have to pretty much everything that we experience, large or small. And we can see how emotions build out of those reactions of this is pleasant or this is unpleasant or neither. When we have a response that is a little bit bigger than that initial spark of reaction, as in it has more texture to it, it lasts longer, maybe it has more images and words or storylines with it, that we would call an emotion or a mood or a feeling. And emotions are absolutely part of our mindfulness practice. Sometimes there's the misconception that we're meditating in order to feel a certain way or to have a certain experience. But mindfulness actually takes a really different approach in that we welcome every experience that it's possible for us to have. We include all of it in our practice, so there's nothing that doesn't belong. And emotions are no exception. So we're not just meditating to be calm and centered and positive all the time. It's just honestly not realistic for any human being. So we're practicing to really learn how to have a greater capacity for being with all of our different human states, the states that we all go through. And I also really like to point out that feelings and emotions, they exist in the body. We've also talked about mindfulness of the body in a previous lesson. And as you were practicing mindfulness in the body, you probably noticed that some of the sensations are physiological. They're like processes the body is going through, it's digesting, it's breathing. There's sensations related to what position you're in. You know, sitting in a chair feels different than doing a handstand. But we also have sensations that connect to a feeling or an emotion. That's why we call it a feeling, right? Because it's existing in the body. So we can have these different experiences of heaviness, lightness, tingling, pulsing, pulling, whatever kinds of expressions emotions take. For a while at one point when I was going through a really stressful time and I had a lot of anxiety, I would have this sensation sometimes of like a bubble kind of moving up from my belly towards my heart. It's kind of a strange, disturbing sensation of kind of a bubble kind of feeling, and it was related to like that anxious mind state. And I described this to an acupuncturist at one point later, a friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, that's called running piglet chi." Chi is energy, right? So it was like a running piglet image, the chi of a running piglet, which was a lot cuter than how it felt. But I love this example because it shows us how our feelings are felt on a physical level. There's a physicality to them. And in some traditions, they even have great names and classifications for these different kinds of experiences that we can have. And an emotion is kind of like an energy. It's something that's moving through us, like the running piglet. Just move here now and moving on and changing and turning into something else later. So it helps sometimes to think of these just as temporary energies and things we're experiencing, and not to personalize them as much as might be our habit. These energies are really universal. We may not all have running piglet chi. We all have our own versions of these things, but everyone experiences emotions. Everyone experiences sadness and anger and happiness and glee and wanting and aversion and the whole gamut. We may have our unique ways of experiencing them, but they're universal. They're not just mine and yours. So we'll do a meditation in a few minutes to encounter and work with emotion as part of our meditation practice. And I think we've laid the groundwork here that emotions are welcome, but I also want to speak to when emotions are very strong and when they're hard to be with in our meditation. We want to look for this ability to stay in the present moment with the emotion. And sometimes if it's really strong or it's really overwhelming, we can't quite stay grounded. We get pulled into the past, we get pulled into the future, we get lost in a memory or in some kind of planning or worry about what's to come related to this emotion. So if that occurs, it can be really good to reground, to go back to just being with mindfulness of the feet on the floor, or mindfulness of the breath, leaving the emotion kind of to the side for that moment. You could open your eyes, you could remember, oh right, this is what's happening in this present moment, I'm here, and this is what's going on. So we want to keep ourselves in the present moment and realize this is an energy that's passing through in this moment. When we lose touch with that, we go back to grounding, and slowly by slowly with practice, we build up a greater capacity to be with even the stronger emotions as they arise and not to get lost and caught up in them. So that's really the key, learning to be with our experience without being dominated by our experience, lost in our experience, or confused by our experience. So that's a lot. That's a really big deal to work towards. And I would encourage you with working with emotion to start with the smaller ones, the easier ones, the manageable ones, and build your capacity from there. So thank you for listening to this. And if you do have questions coming up about this topic, feel free to direct message me or send an email or get in touch. And I hope you enjoy practicing with the meditation that goes with this. Thank you very much.